Welcome back to MLive's Dungeon of Doom podcast. I am Ben Raven. He's Kory Woods. Kory, how are you?
I am exhausted. I'm not going to lie. That is why you didn't get a what up though. I am beat.
It is one of the weirdest. I don't know what day it is. We're recording on Monday at 11:48 a.m. The schedule's been wonky for 2.5 weeks now, for sure.
Yeah, it's just all over the place. I just asked you yesterday. I'm like, what day is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're in a practice facility on a Sunday evening. I'm like,
in the locker room until 7 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I just need, I know it don't want to be long-winded. I just need one day to regroup and figure out what day it is.
Yeah. Unfortunately for the Lions, they don't have that one day either.
No, they don't.
They are heading into an ultra crucial all of a sudden game against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. The Lions are 7-5. Cowboys are 6-5-1. The Lions are on the outside looking in at the playoff picture. NFL's got them at 42%. New York Times has got them at 30% to make the playoffs. We're going to get questions on that and more. We'll obviously talk about the Frank Ragnow stuff a lot. We got a lot of mailbag questions this week. Only one voice memo, but a lot of written questions, so you guys will avoid me taking you to task one more week. We got a voice memo at the buzzer. We'll start with that one. But, man, 7-5, getting swept by the Packers. The Lions are in a situation where they need to hope and pray to make it if they go 3-2, and they're even going to need a little help if they go 4-1. And that's wild. I'll just say this. Beating the Cowboys, paramount to their chances. They really need the Packers and the Bears to either split or the team who gets swept in that series to continue losing. That's how the gate opens up, because the Niners hold the NFC tiebreaker with an 8-2 record to Detroit's 4-4 intraconference record right now, and that's not helping.
You know what? When we were doing our season predictions, I believe that me and you both had the Lions finishing 12-5.
Still on the table.
Still on the table. But I think it's fair to say at this point of the season, we didn't expect the Lions to have 5 losses.
No.
We expected that to probably happen, somewhere down the line, maybe against the Rams
exactly.
or so forth. But this is right now, this is season on the line in each game.
Yeah, every time.
Throughout the rest of these 5 games, the season is on the line, and this is not exaggeration. This is what happens when you put yourself in the hole the way that they did. You did not perform up to expectations by hook or crook, whatever the reason may have been.
Yeah.
You did not come out with the W's that you need to, and this is a result of it.
Yeah, it is. The pass rush isn't affecting quarterbacks. The defensive backs are getting hit by big plays. The interior offensive line is shaky.
Just real quick about the interior offensive line, I think it is still remarkable that Goff is near 70% completion and only have 5 interceptions this season, given the play. I know people want to say he can be he needs to be a little bit more mobile or this or the other. If you go look at the pocket time of the more mobile quarterbacks, the Lamar Jackson, the Patrick Mahomes, they're near the bottom as well as Goff.
Yeah.
And look at the result. The Ravens, because they went ahead and taken a 6-6. They're a division leader, but still they're 500. The Buffalo Bills, they're in the wild card, but still have the Chiefs. They're outside looking in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's you no matter whether you're mobile or pocket, you need that interior offensive line to play well. I just want to get that tangent off.
No, I mean, Goff obviously hasn't been perfect at times, but on the list of people I blame for this situation, he's pretty low on that list.
Yeah, he definitely has some. He's definitely had some throws we both criticized, like, hey, you could have made that throw.
But man, it's just gotten to the point where Goff, where you kind of expect near perfection. I mean, seriously, of the people to blame for this, he's very low at the bottom of the list. The interior offensive line has been shaky, changing play callers mid-season, inconsistent run game at times. I mean, I know they're still up there, and a couple big games from Gibbs helped that. But, man, it's just – we're going to talk about Frank Ragnow. I know the voice memo question I'm about to play to start our mailbag isn't about Frank Ragnow, because Ryan in Toledo warned me that I might block him for this question. So, I think he's on the other side of the coin regarding the clock management on Detroit's what would be their final drive in the Thanksgiving game that they lost to the Packers. You and I didn't love it. Ford Field didn't love it. I'm expecting Ryan and Toledo to love it. And for taking a stand and being the lone voice memo of the week, Ryan and Toledo, you are our doomer of the week. So let's hear from Ryan.
Hey, Ben and Kory. Ryan calling in once again. This time I'm calling in from Michigan. Last time I called in from Phoenix. I'll be going back to the warm again after I sit through another Lions game. I would say that I'm excited, but I'm not sure that's even how I feel right now. But anyway, on to why I'm making this voice note. So I haven't heard a single person, and maybe it's just the people I listen to or whatever, but I haven't heard a single person defend Dan Campbell's clock management at the end of the Packers game at all. And while I don't fully agree with it, I do have a little bit of a defense for it. And I think it kind of goes back to something that Dan might default to going forward in just being an offensive guy. I think he saw how his defense was performing most of that game. And to be honest, it wasn't that great. And what he was trying to do was put the Packers into the most predictable situation possible with the amount of time remaining. So they basically had one shot at getting a 3 or 4 and out. But in that opportunity, they knew they would be running the ball on at least 2 of those downs, and it would be in predictable running situations. That's exactly what happened. He almost had it go exactly his way. And I'm pretty sure that's why he did it, even though he didn't explain it that way exactly. But if that is why he did it, I have no problem with it, because I don't think that defense was stopping them in a more neutral game script if we would have scored with 5 minutes left or whatever. Maybe that's disrespectful to the defense, but that's what I think he was doing there, and that's why I didn't really have a problem with it. I'd love to hear your guys' takes now that you're a few days away from it, but I agree it's probably not what I would have done, but I do think that's why he did it.
Thank you, Ryan. Good question. I like when people take a stance like that, because you know what? I mean, that's the best way it's been explained. I think Dan mentioned slivers of what you're getting at after the game on Thursday. So I'm going to give you a bullseye for that. We just talked to Kelvin Shepard here. What did he say? Our pass rush isn't we got asked about, like, can you continue playing this style of defense with a lacking pass rush? And his question was, with this pass rush, we can't play any style of defense if it keeps going like this. So to your credit, I actually like the point on forcing the Packers into predictability. Fortunately for the Lions, it almost did play out that way, but then the Packers threw on 3rd and 3 after getting the 1 conversion, and then they threw on 4th and 3 to end it anyway. And that kind of, at this point of the season with this team, I fully hear you on how the defense was playing. That's a really good point. That's the best counter argument to our stance after the game. Anything you can do to widen the margin of error, I think, is a good idea right now, especially in that game where it felt like, dang, how are they in this game? How do they have a chance in the final couple of minutes? The offense was moving the ball. I'm an automatic. If you're trailing with less than 10 minutes in the game, you better show some urgency on offense. Close the gap, close the margin of error, open up the window of possibilities. But on the same token, it's a great point, forcing the Packers to get predictable. They kind of were predictable until they weren't, and it came back to bite them once again. I mean, freaking Wicks losing his shoe and still making the catch. Huge game for him. Seriously, huge game for him. But no, I get what you're saying. I still kick that ball off with about 4 minutes would have been easy, and I don't think it would have changed how they kind of managed that drive, because they were milking the play clock even when the plays were in. They took 16 or 14 seconds, whatever it was, after the injury before Bakes kicked the field goal. And I just think, just open the window, open the margin of error for a little bit. That was my take. But hey, great counter argument, and that's why you're the doomer of the week.
I'm still going to stay on my point. Now, first off, it was a great argument. Applaud to him for that.
Full of logic.
Full of logic. It is actually something that, even when we were recording, it is something that I considered.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we saw what the defense was doing. I mean, in the past couple of weeks, they have given up 656 passing yards and 7 touchdowns between that Packers and that Giants game. So your point is sound.
Very sound. Yes.
Here is where I land,
Very
though.
sound. Good job, Brian.
Yeah. Here's where I land, though. You need to minimize risk.
Mm-hmm.
You need to close that gap. You were down 10 points regardless. So regardless of what was going on, you're going to need to score a touchdown. Go ahead and show some urgency. Kick the field goal. Your defense is going to have to make a play regardless.
Yeah.
So kick the field goal, call on your defense to strap up, and then you hopefully get that ball back. And like you said, the offense is moving. Then go ahead and start to show that urgency, make your attack, and attempt to tie this game up. That is just where I land at it, because here's the thing. If you operate it in that fashion, if you lose, it still stings, but now you have less fans, less media, less what-if theories questioning your logic, because I just feel that was just not the time right there to go for it. But again, you can say that Dan Campbell trusts his offense to make that play. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
It's just in that situation, you need to just cut into the deficit and then live for the next play. If they go down there and they even though the way the game is going, if they torch the defense again, hey, so be it. You did the smart football decision.
Yeah. And I think the one disconnect I have between milking the clock the way it was that the play calling was acting urgent. I mean, they got inside the 5-yard line, 1st and goal from the 4, 3:33 left on the clock, milked so much clock. I'm looking at the gap between the clocks. I mean, they took 40 seconds off between like every play, it seemed like.
And that was we're not fans, but just as somebody watching the game,
damn, come on.
It was infuriating, because it's like, do you not see how much time you guys are wasting getting in and out of plays? Just even getting back up to the line of scrimmage. It did not seem like we're a team that is down points and we may not get this ball back.
Yeah. No, I mean, 1st and goal from the 4, Montgomery, incomplete snap out of the Wildcat. Goff, incomplete pass to Ross Dwelly. 3rd and 4, Goff sack for -9 yards. And then they let 16, 17, 14 seconds come off the clock before kicking the field goal after the injury stoppage. It was like, if you're taking your time, you get to the 4-yard line. I don't care how predictable it is. You get heavy, you give Jahmyr Gibbs the ball once, see how that goes, and then you throw 2 or 3 times. I don't know. Good question, Ryan. You know, you definitely brought some logic to the table, and I think you hit the point that Dan was trying to make after the game. So credit to you on that. I love hearing a counter argument, so shout out to you for that. We're going to get into the written mailbag section. I'm not even going to call him his real name because he's so creative with his Twitter names. We got Michael Kyle Van Noy, Detroit player. Frank Ragnow is famously tough as hell. What kind of pain tolerance must he have to be out here with a hammy that bad and still ready to lace him up?
You know what?
He's crazy.
Here's where I land with that, because there were so many things going around with he appears to be in great shape as far as the reports and things like that.
Rap tweeted he might play Dallas.
Yeah.
What?
So so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, hey, let's just be real.
Yeah.
Reporters are a lot of times can be accurate, but their sources can sometimes be inaccurate.
Yeah, the agent's telling you what he wants out there.
Yeah. So I think that Frank has been, well, first off, a grade 3 hamstring tear is basically falling off the bone.
Yeah, grade 3 hamstring strain means there's a tear in there.
So I don't know whether I think this is what happened.
Man.
I think Frank may have maybe tweaked something when working out, trying to get back.
Right.
And then when they were, talking to him about it, he was just a little, I don't want to say disingenuous, but he was just like, that's a little something.
Yeah.
Kind of playing it off. I mean, hey, we've seen what Frank has played through over the past couple of years. The guy's tough as nails. So his pain tolerance, I mean, if you're a regular person, you cannot understand his pain tolerance through what you may go through day to day. So I think I think that's kind of just where it was. His pain tolerance is a lot different than most people's, and he may have just kind of like fudged it a little bit on how serious it is, just to get in the building.
I literally think he just tweaked his hamstring, and it's Frank, like, whatever. It's a
Yeah.
hamstring tweak. Like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But, like, man, this is a week I'm going to remember forever. Frank Ragnow comes out of retirement on Wednesday. The Lions lose a crushing game on Thanksgiving. Here come all their problems about to be fixed. Fails his physical on Saturday. It's revealed he has a grade 3 hamstring strain. You hear the word strain, you're like, oh, really? That ended the season? Grade 3 is bad, y'all. That means there's some torn muscle in there. And that really does just speak to the wild pain tolerance. And even Goff said it yesterday on Sunday, was like, yeah, his pain tolerance is, I forget the word he used, but basically legendary. It is. I mean, the guy finished a game with a fractured throat, didn't give up a pressure. Guy had surgery on his meniscus, missed one game, came back. First game, didn't allow a pressure. Inoperable toe, back injuries, you name it. I mean, it's the most Frank Ragnow thing of all time that the man retired for 6 or 7 months, came back with a grade 3. I'm laughing because it's unbelievable. The words are coming out of my mouth, and I'm like, holy crap, that's all happened in the last 4 days. Comes back with a hamstring injury that serious. That's a different level of person that shows, for anybody talking bad about Frank, the fact that he tried to do this at this time, just having another kid, shows how much this team means to him, shows how much, even though he retired, how much responsibility I think he felt too for the situation, because like all 5 of the losses, you can tie a great deal of those losses on the interior offensive line. So don't be bad talking Frank. That guy put himself through more than you can even imagine to play 7 seasons for the Lions. And the fact that he was coming back after having a kid, after making the tough decision to walk away, Decker said he'd been talking about it for 5 or 6 weeks about coming back, and it was like, dude, just pull the trigger if you're going to do it. He announced he announced he was coming back on the deadline for players to announce they were coming back if they were going to play this season. So he was just, you know what, let's go for it. Let's announce it. Let's get me in the building, see how it is, figure this hamstring thing out. And I don't think either side. The Lions did say that Frank told him he had a hamstring issue, but like nobody knew the severity of it because Frank's a freaking warrior.
And I think what made things so kind of interesting or like kind of like cause some confusion with the fans is just the timing of it. Like you said, Wednesday was the deadline for him to come back. Thursday is the Thanksgiving game. Friday is really the first time they can get him in the building for the physical.
Yeah, exactly.
And see everything that was going on. Okay, guess what? Frank can't play. Saturday, we dropped the news. I think if you want to just say the rollout may have not been the greatest, if you want to say that, maybe Dan could have said like, hey, we're great. We're happy to get Frank back, but we have to get him through a physical and this, that, and the other. Maybe that could have, you can make an argument that could have been better, but I've seen people try to make conspiracy theory. Like, no, it's just the timing of events it's just the timing of events didn't work in their favor.
It's Frank Ragnow too.
Yeah.
Like it's Frank. Like that's just who Frank is. I mean, just his retirement was shocking. His unretirement was more shocking. And then the failed physical was just like
a gut punch.
That's how it ends. Yeah, that's pretty fitting. Just what Frank has worked through the last couple of years and just the fact that he was willing to come back for this team. And, you know, the body is sending messages. I think the body sent him a lot of messages. He said, screw it, still 29 years old. They need me. I know this offense. I know my quarterback. But then it just wasn't meant to be. And that plays into our next question. Les White, what's the percentage of Ragnow actually returning next season? Man, I'm a wrestling guy, so I never say never, but like 2%.
Yeah, I
maybe
would,
lower.
I would say that I think Frank's done. I think it's because just all the injuries that he's had to go through, and then in his mind is like, you know what? That was probably a difficult decision it was a difficult decision to retire.
Yes.
Probably an even more difficult decision to be like, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and say screw it and give it a go. Yeah. You come in and then boom, first thing you find out, your hammy has fallen off the bone. He's probably just like, you know what? I'm going to stick with my first mind. I'm going to sit down.
And see, that's why I don't have it at 0% because Frank is a wild person. Yeah. And I mean that with the most respect in terms of football. Yeah. Like wild what he played through. Wild that he came back and thought he just had a little hamstring tweak and it was like a multi-month injury. Unbelievable. But yeah, the Lions statement when they announced he had failed his physical seemed pretty final too. Like there was a lot of finality in that tone
Like
and the messaging.
He'll forever be a Lion.
Yeah. You can't slam the door shut because it's Frank, and you know what? He did just try to do it. He is just 29 years old, but this was not a recurring injury. This was not one of his previous injuries. This was a whole new thing, and maybe he thinks a full off season, but I'm not even going to go there. we already had a podcast talking about what Frank Ragnow's return means to this team. I feel like the door is as shut as it's been. This just seemed like a sign. Like, all right, man, your body did what it could do. I mean, he was so tore up about the retirement, he didn't even do a press conference or speak to us after it happened. I mean, that's how on the fence he was about it at the time. That's compounded by the fact that he unretired and was forced back into not being with the team. But yeah, just man.
I mean, just to come
I feel
back,
for the guy.
Yeah, because to come back, and even when he sees the team is needing him, for him to come back, that just probably took a lot. Just like, you know what?
Yeah,
doing it. It's the deadline. Let me just
today's the day.
Today's the day. Let me just do it and see what happens.
Yeah. We got a non-Frank Ragnow, non-playoff odds question from New Millennium on Blue Sky. We know the drop-off from Laporta as tight end 1 to Brock Wright as tight end 1, but how much further is the drop-off to Ross Dwelly? The tight end situation is rough. Laporta, not expected back this season, had back surgery. Brock Wright is very much in the TBD bucket right now. I mean, we knew he had a neck injury, did not leave the Giants game. It's not clear exactly when he suffered his injury, but like getting flipped on his head is an easy point to point to. But it's a trachea injury. And I believe it was Dave Burkett to report that it was a similar injury to the one we previously talked about that Ragnow suffered in 2020. You just don't mess around with those type of injuries. And I mean, Dan Campbell is like, we're just waiting on opinions and scannings and medical results. I would very highly doubt him playing this Thursday. Dan said it could be a long-term injury. Obviously, the word trachea comes out. You think, oh, God, dude, take care of yourself. But yeah, man, the drop-off is steep. That's no offense to Ross Dwelly. He's been here for a while. Anthony Ferkshire played with this team a lot in 2023, even played in every playoff game that year. Zach Horton's been here through the spring program, training camp, and preseason. But, yeah, there's a big drop-off from Laporta to Brock Wright, and there's a big drop-off from Brock Wright to Ross Dwelly and co. too, because, I mean, there's a reason why the Lions matched that 3-year, $12 to $13 million deal from the 49ers a year or two ago. My timeline is very murky as I get older, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you're talking about someone who is literally grown up in this franchise, in this offense, and you're going to 3 guys who have been in and out or who have been here just for a stretch. It's a drop off. And then you throw on St. Brown's ankle sprain. I mean, it sounds like best case scenario, but it sounds like he could still miss a game or two. There's a big drop off in the passing attack without those 3 guys.
I mean, those are awesome.
And Raymond.
Yeah. All 3 of those guys
Jeez.
are some of the Lions' best options when it comes to these third down plays.
How did we get here?
And
this is crazy.
The amount of injuries this team has suffered over the past couple of years is just pretty alarming.
It's NFL leading guys on IR.
Yeah, I mean, it's wasn't that like last year too as well?
Yeah, it's 2 years in a row.
And, I'm not calling for anybody to lose their job or anything like that, but, I mean, do you have to look at the strength and conditioning team at this point? Or is it just the luck of the draw? Because this is back-to-back years this team has.
Yeah.
Last year was an anomaly that they finished 15-2 with the amount of injuries they had on defense. Right now, we're starting to see it catch up, albeit with all the coaching changes too as well. But it's just an alarming number of injuries. Some of them just kind of coming up out of nowhere. Like, okay, the trachea injury to Brock Wright, understand that one. The Laporta injury, I'm still kind of confused about that one because I didn't see anything. You just, hey, he's out.
Back surgery. Yeah. All right. I understand why these questions exist about, we've seen that for a couple of years about they did remake their strength program and their conditioning staff. I had this conversation, I believe it was with Nolan and Justin in the side room the other day as we were getting out of here, and it's like, I look back at the injuries, and it's like, it's hard for me to put any blame on anyone but the game of football on a lot of these injuries. I think I'm not even going to go there. Like Kirby, they thought he could play through it. He thought he could play through it. They thought it would calm down. It hasn't. It's been worse than they thought it was. But like, even that is like, I don't know, man. I know they go balls to the walls. I know they go 110% all the time in practice when they can, in camp when they can. They go harder than most, but they're just freaky. They're not freaky injuries. It's just football too. And the way they play hard, they play fast, they play physical. I don't know, man. If the trend is continuing, so I'm sure they're looking at everything. What can we do more and all that? But like, man, it is like Hutch's leg getting wrapped around his teammate's leg. That I can't blame that. St. Brown getting rolled up from behind. Like, that's not the strength and conditioning staff that's doing that. That's the way the cookie crumbles in football sometimes. Yeah. And unfortunately here, the cookie has crumbled into a whole nother cookie. I didn't know where I was going with that one.
Hey, it works.
Next question is from my buddy Grant Stoy. He's got a two-parter. What are the odds Detroit looks for a center early in the draft? I'll start with this one. They're going to be looking offensive line early and often in the draft. I fully believe that. But I'm curious to see, the last time we talked to Brad Holmes and Ray Agnew, the GM and assistant GM, Tate Ratledge's long-term center was still on the table. Maybe they feel like that's the path forward. I don't know. A lot, if you can get a guard that can play center or a center that can play guard, you go in and let the best man win the center job and figure it out at guard. I know that's a little trickier than it sounds on paper, but just to answer that question, offensive line is like a must in the first or second round this year. Again, it just really is. You need to shore that unit up. You must shore that unit up. Decker's went through hell and back this year. You need to get some more tackle depth beyond Manu, man. There's still time for him to put it together, but time is running thin on that too. But yeah, interior offensive line, that is at the freaking top of the leaderboard for me, thinking about first or second round or third round picks or doubling up like they have before.
I do not think fans will be upset if they even went as far as made, guard, center, or center and guard somewhere on the offensive line, their first two picks, and then start to fill it out, because we've talked about this before. The Lions need starters, or they need quality depth that can play immediately. They do not need any more projects at this point. So yes, you have to go ahead and beef up that offensive line, because I think on defense, could you add some – if there's a player out there that is just surefire, can't miss, we want to get that guy, okay, go grab him. Aside from that, I think you have to invest in the trenches with those first two picks and fill everything else out after that, because as you said, as we both said, this is not only the fact that you do need to fill up with that guard and that center, but also, too, you got to go ahead and start thinking about the replacement for Decker down the line.
You just got a plan.
Just have something in waiting, so when the time comes for one of these guys to walk away, you're not in a situation like you are this season where you're having to replace a Ragnow and a Kevin Zeitler, both players that are just really hard to replace in the same offseason.
Yeah, offensive line. It's got to be a must. Graham Glasgow's dealing with knee injuries again, the second year in a row down the stretch.
Who knows if he's coming back? It could be the last year for him. So you gotta go deep in the trenches. I would say with the first two picks, I don't think I'm being too crazy with that.
We were talking about this when they were 4-1.
Yeah,
like
it's not nothing new.
No, it's not. Grant also wanted to know about the Thanksgiving spread. I give props to Lions and how they feed us on Thanksgiving. They do a great job. I had a photo go crazy viral of my Thanksgiving plate on Twitter. Very confused by that. People dragging me like I cooked it. Other people celebrating it. Everybody disagrees about everything. They did great. Turkey, stuffing, gravy. Had gravy. There was one year they ran out of gravy early. That has not happened again. 2 pies. Hey, man, you ain't never going to hear me complain about free food. They do a great job on Thanksgiving.
I'll let you have that one.
You sound like my Twitter replies. We got Sydney Worth. Thank you for submitting your question in the Dungeon of Doom at MLive.com. Long-time listener, first-time question asker, 10 out of 10 starts the question. I'm wondering how your guys' expectations for the seasons have changed with all the heartbreak of Thanksgiving. I thought Ragnow would be the difference maker for the rest of the season, but now that the Lions have been swept by the Packers, Bears might actually look legit, and Frank somehow didn't know his hamstring was falling off. I'd say my confidence is shaken. Where's your confidence level currently stand in the Lions' ability to beat the odds?
I have to see them officially knocked out before I believe they're done.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm landing. Because it would just be shocking to see this team just kind of like just, I don't want to say mail it in. I don't believe they would ever do that.
No chance.
Do that, but it would just, I would need to see this team knocked out of the playoffs before I believe that is, that they have no shot. That's just where I'm at with it, because this is a team that they're learning about themselves right now. Like I think, you know what? Ada Hutchinson had the best quote about it, and I'm going to try to paraphrase it. Yeah. He said, it's easy to be a gritty team when you're winning and it's all sunshine and rainbows. Now we're really seeing what real adversity is like. And I think that this is a team that's going to answer the call. And I think it's possible they're going to drop one more game, and that one more game is going to, in my opinion, it could be against the Rams. But aside from that, I think that they can go ahead and go 4-1 down the stretch and sneak their way into the wild card. I think it is very possible. They're going to need some help, but I think it's doable.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Like, this team's going to have to be eliminated before I talk about them like they're dead in the water. Obviously, just the talent is there. The coach, I still believe in Dan Campbell's ability to right this ship. Like, I really do. I know people. Confidence is more shaken than I've seen it in a long time, and that is fair. My confidence would be so much higher if they held their own destiny in their hands. Obviously, winning out holds, I guess that's still in your hands, but like, man, even if they go 4-1 down the stretch, they're going to need help. If they go 3-2 down the stretch, they're going to need all the help in the freaking world. If they lose this game to Dallas,
if they lose to Dallas, that might be good night, Irene.
And the reason why my confidence is lower than it's been going into a game in a long time is that I look at that interior offensive line and I see what Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams have done to help transform that Dallas defense. They just beat the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year in back-to-back weeks.
I just mentioned that.
Like, this ain't a joke. Dak is playing out of his mind. Jake Ferguson's one of the most underrated tight ends in the league, and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, those are big play freaks who can do a little bit of everything. They play physical. They play vertical. Oh, man. The Lions should win this game, but like all the matchups in reality, in living color right now, I don't feel good about this upcoming game.
They're facing a Dallas team that is, they beat the two teams you mentioned, but they're on a 3-game winning streak. They're also a team that is now looking at the Philadelphia Eagles like, we might be able to catch them.
Yeah, man.
And get this division. So they're not just playing a Dallas team coming in on a 3-game winning streak. They're facing a Dallas team that feels like, if we can knock off the Lions that are struggling, we have a chance to win our division and get a home playoff game. That is the scary part about this week.
This is as close to an elimination game without actually being an elimination game for both teams as possible at this point of the season. I mean, we're talking about a Lions team that has alternated wins and losses across the last 7 games. And we're talking about a Dallas team that keeps getting better. Like, I don't think momentum's a real thing week to week. I think momentum lives in the moment. But, I mean, you're talking about a team at the highest of highs right now when you're looking at the last month of action to a team that has a sub-500 record in their last 7 games. They are 3-4 in their last 7 games. Still haven't lost back-to-back games in 3 years, but they haven't won back-to-back games. They haven't won backto-back games since October and September.
And Penei Sewell said this a couple of weeks ago, I believe. I want to say it was after the Giants win. He said this win, he said, it's good to be able to continue that streak, but it's, banking on that is not sustainable for success.
Yeah. No.
They're going to have to they're going to have to string along some victories at some point. And I mean, I have an idea of what could happen, but I am scared to say it.
Yeah, I agree. We're nearing the end here. Still have a lot of questions. I'm going to try and get a couple of quick ones out of the way. There's a couple evergreen ones I think we can kick to next week. But Marcus Goldman, hi guys, what's the deal with Kirby Joseph's injury? Lingering. You know, Dan Campbell more or less said, yeah, he's feeling better. Yeah, he's progressing, but this thing isn't really going away. There's some wear in there. And that's not great. That's not great. They thought this thing was going to calm down with the bye week rest. He's missed 6 straight games. He's now deleted social media. I think that speaks to where he's at. He's probably fatigued from all the injury talk and speculation. Are you playing? Are you not playing? I mean, Campbell said he's doing more in individual drills, but I mean, the line that sticks out to me is this thing is there. And it kind of sounds like there's not going to be a chance to let that thing truly heal until the offseason hits. Now, there's some confidence they will get him back. There's been some confidence they'd get him back for 7 weeks now, including the bye, and it just has not really moved much at all.
That is very concerning because he is their ball hawk.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about a team that has lacked in the turnover department, that is where Kirby comes into play because he's different. He's different. You see what when he's not on the field. First, a matter of fact, when people were wondering why did they give him his bag so early, look at how this defense is looking without him. Now you see why they paid him. This guy he just changes the course of how that secondary plays, and you know, it's tough. I'm still thinking that he'll try to give it if they let him. I think he's going to try to give it a go in that Rams game, just because. But I mean, just hearing the way Campbell is talking about him, it kind of puts me in the same feeling of Sam Laporta. We would like to get him back if possible, but it's not looking like it. I just think they don't want to go ahead and rule Kirby out just yet. But to me, I don't see him. I don't see him coming back unless it's like we got a chance to make this run.
Yeah, I mean, it was a month and a half ago, or a month, at least more than a month ago, that Dan said it just wasn't healing up. And it's like, if he's still not back, if he's still not doing much in practice, I don't know, man. We're at the stage of the season where they freaking need him, but we're also at the stage of the season where you don't want to mess up things for next season either.
Yeah.
And Kirby's not just a big part of the short term, but he's a big part of the long-term future. And just when you hear the word wear and not going away, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. Nick from Grand Rapids, is it fair to say we are feeling the pain from the last 2 drafts not hitting? It's easy to play revisionist history, but we haven't gotten any game changers since Brad had multiple picks in the first and second round. I know we have to trust him, but I also feel like he can't insult you and others in his annual press conference when you guys question future moves, hold receipts. And I think fans have the right to question him as well. If this is meant to be sustained success, another 2 drafts will bring us potentially out of the playoff picture completely from the beginning of the season. We've discussed this recently. I think it's really time to give up on the developmental dart throws picks when you're talking in the 3rd and the 4th rounds. You know, that's no shade, but Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, Sion Vaki, he's struggling this year with injuries just to get there. I mean, it was a safety turn running back that you took in the 3rd or 4th round. Still believe in the Tesla pick, but you gave up a hell of a lot to get him. Manu, list goes on. I hear you. You've got to hone in more on what you need over what you love a little. I still want Brad to take the best player approach, still to trust his gut, because what he did here in his first 5 years, remarkable. But this franchise has changed. The expectations have changed. The needs have changed. There are less holes to fill with more of a target on those hills to fill them, like with the edge rusher talk the last 2 years. Now it's kind of turned to the offensive line while the edge rusher talk still lingers. But yeah, I just think the developmental dart throw picks, you've given up a lot of assets to take those, and they kind of need to stop. Save those for the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds if you have to.
Exactly. Look, I understand that you have been at the forefront of probably one of the best stretches of Lions football in what, modern era?
Yeah.
Recently, let's just say for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Let's just land there. For the past 20 years, you're responsible for the best stretch of Lions football. But but at the same time, it's what are you doing to make sure that it's a sustained success besides re-signing your best players? Okay, yeah, re-signing your best players, smart move. What about those important depth pieces? What about those important guys that could be starters at some point for you? Like, you're not drafting those guys. You're drafting projects. You're drafting guys that have or drafting or signing guys that have an injury history, and you have to wait for them to get through something before they can take the field. Granted, it worked out with Jamison Williams, but for every Jamison Williams, there's a Broderick Martin. There's a Josh Pascal. Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pascal.
Yeah, I mean it's so many guys that Levi. He's it's up and down for
great when healthy, but rarely healthy.
Yeah, so it's like you've drafted so many guys that had an injury history that just have not worked out. I think it is fair to question that approach this time and not get any pushback for it because they're not playing.
Yeah. I will say this. I think Tate Ratledge is going to be a very good starting guard or center. I think there's truly something there. I think Tyleik Williams has been a great anchor, run stuffer. Obviously, rookie, things to do, super young. And I ain't out on Terrion Arnold yet either. I thought he played really well on Thanksgiving. I thought
he's coming along.
He's so young too. So I'm not out on those guys. I get why you take issue with the last two drafts, but at least he has found starting guys. Yeah. When Tyleik's playing time is back up to 25, 30 plus snaps, like he's playing a big role. Those guys are young, still have a lot of room to grow. So I will defend those picks, but I already made my point on the dart throws. If you like a project you really like, bank on him being there in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round. And if he's not, screw it. I'm sure you got 5 others.
A prime example is Ahmed Hassanin. Granted, he got injured, but he was a late pick.
6th round?
Project, raw. Okay, you know what? That's when you take a guy like that, bring him in, see what he can do. It didn't work out initially, but you brought him back.
He's back.
He's back. Maybe it'll work out for next year, but nobody's going to get mad at you taking a project pick at that point of the draft because you know what? This is like you're basically saying, hey, we like this guy. We're going to bring him in. We're going to work with him. And then, if he builds into something, then, hey, you'll see more of him. But when you're talking about taking a guy, I would say at least through the first 3 rounds, maybe go as far as 4th, you're thinking we're going to see this guy on the field at some point.
Yeah. Quick question I'll knock out from Adam in DC. Fire up chips right back at you, Adam. He just wants to know what's up with Vaki being hurt all the time. He's great special teams piece, versatile piece. He's been injured this year. It's hampered his growth as a running back. He's still playing special teams at a high level when he's healthy and available. But the injuries have completely kind of halted his development as a running back there. So moving on there. Dr. Ken, don't know if I'm late, but do you think the Lions look for a new offensive coordinator at the end of the year? If so, who's out there? Do you think they look for a new offensive coordinator?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Here's the reason why. I don't want to, go too hard on John Morton. But we said this last time. I just think that when you remove the play calling of, responsibilities from him, I just don't know how you give it back to him moving forward.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. We'll see. I mean, maybe working with Dan in a different role has helped him grow, but I 60% yes, they look for a new OC, 40% no. And the one name I will throw out there who has a good relationship with Dan Campbell is Brian Dable. See what happens with him. That's what I'll give you there. Thank you, Dr. Ken. Good to hear from you. I can't pronounce this name. I don't think I can say this name on the air, but a question came from Blue Sky. Is this season a wash and they just start retooling weaknesses for a better 2026? That's a crazy question. Not that you're off the mark. I just can't believe we're here. I actually had them down for 10 wins before it started. Then for a while thought I was wrong. I hate that I was actually really correct. No, there's still a path to the playoffs. This team ain't selling out for nothing. This team will never wave the white flag. If there's 0.00001% chance to make the playoffs, they will still play like they have a freaking chance. That's Dan.
Yeah, they're gonna play to the very end. I mean, Heck, we saw this team play to the very end, and they didn't even have a shot to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, Rodgers last game.
Yeah,
in
Rodgers
Lambeau.
last game. So they're going at it. They're going for it. Oh, that's crazy. They still now they gotta just thought about that. They have to go against the Steelers team. That's also fighting for them.
Yeah, I know. It's next. The final question we'll take is from Chris. Hey, I know Chris. He used to do a wrestling podcast with our buddy Matt Durr at MLive. I was on that show once. He's a Brad Holmes loyalist. A certain local radio host said he's a Brad bot, defending his moves and all that. He says, I can't help but feel like he failed this team this year, seemingly from what he outwardly projects because of arrogance. Wow. Why was there not a concrete succession plan for Frank Ragnow after he flirted with retirement? Why, despite all the evidence contrary, did he feel like we're good in regards to the pass rush? Why is he trading multiple third-round picks for a stash wide receiver, preventing him from having ammunition to make a move at the deadline like Jalen Phillips? Do you think this step back, assuming things don't miraculously turn around, will cause a shift in strategy, or are we in for more of the same, much like some of Dan's fourth down decisions, or feels like the team has reached a point where there needs to be a slight shift of philosophy? Man, that's we discussed the draft stuff a little bit. We're with you there. The concrete succession plan to Ragnow. See, they drafted Mahogany. They drafted Ratledge. They drafted Frazier. Injuries impacted Mahogany's start as a rookie. Frazier still is just working his way back in practice. Ratledge is starting. I think that they really did view Ratledge as a potential center. I think they still do. And I think with Frank, I think they probably knew it was a possibility, but like the fact that came like the last day of minicamp in June, or like the week of the last minicamp, I think there was an element of surprise there too. But I do think Mahogany, Ratledge, and Frazier, we're preparing for that loss. We're preparing for the loss of Zeitler too. When it comes to Dan changing philosophy, Kory, that ain't changing. I don't really think it should either. I think I wrote about this in my column too. Like, you guys know me. I love the fourth down aggression. I love it. Not just because of analytics either, but it's like that's how you take away a possession. That is how you win games. Like in this league, you slam the door shut on the margin of error. But when you don't have St. Brown, when you don't have Wright, when you don't have Laporte, when you don't have Raymond, and you're targeting Ross Dwelly, no offense, on a crucial third down, you need to start thinking a little more about urgency, a little more about tempo, a little more about the field position game, and banking that your defense finds a way. But I don't. The one change I could see is Brad going away from the developmental picks. He's going to kind of have to because he's traded so many picks. But I don't see the fourth down stuff changing.
No, the only thing that I think that needs to change is Holmes' approach to player acquisition from the draft through free agency. You cannot continue to fall in love with your guys or with your idea of who would be the right guy. And in the respect of drafting the project picks, when we already got into it, but that's the only thing. Drafting the project picks, signing the players that have the checkered injury history. Got to go away from that. You have to go away. It's the best ability is availability. You need to draft guys that you know can be available day one. If something happens in camp and they get injured or whatever, hey, so be it. But allow that to happen. Don't bring in a guy that you got to bring him in and he's got to immediately rehab as soon as he get in there, or you got to wait for him to get ready to take the field. That approach, you cannot do that anymore. That needs to be done with.
For Dan, I would say trust the process and trust who you are. For Brad, I would say take a shot of 5 to 10% immediacy thinking. It's okay to think about needs when you're a team like this. It's okay to think about and target needs when you have a chance to address needs on rookie scale contracts when you've built a team that is what this is. That's all we're saying there. Trust your process, but just tilt that meter a little bit. Kind of like Les Snead did with trading all his picks for players. Trade a little more for the short term.
Be adaptable.
Yeah. That's all we got. Lions are 7-5. Crucial game Thursday Night Football. We will be recording in the early hours of Friday morning from Ford Field. I'm Ben Raven. He's Kory Woods. We are your MLive Dungeon of Doom podcast. Please send voice memos and questions. Dungeon of Doom at MLive.com to be featured on the show and hear from us directly. Thank you, guys.